The Scottish Herald reported just on Monday that a British member of Parliament was accused of falling asleep in the chambers while one of her colleagues was giving a speech on Brexit. After being called a lazy cow and a few other unpleasant words, she was quick to defend herself, saying that she was just getting a calling from the heavens after a bantering person just chumbling away in the chambers. So this seems like it is a large problem going on in Brexit. Just 2 years after Britain decided to leave the European Union, Theresa May, their Prime Minister, has already failed 3 times to get a Brexit deal through Parliament. And with an April 12th deadline coming up, it seems like more and more likely that a Brexit deal might not even happen. So before getting a Brexit deal done, it's important to look at the conflict going on in Northern Ireland, where a Brexit deal could lead to a lot of conflicts in the region. So it's important to bring up this question today. How should Brexit deal with the Northern Ireland problem? And the answer is in 3 main ways. And there are 3 main options for this. The first is a hard Brexit. The second is for Northern Ireland to rely on the Northern Ireland backdrop. The third and finally is probably the best way for the UK to go, which is a soft Brexit. So, first starting off with a hard Brexit. And it seems like this is the more and more likely chance, especially with the possibility of a no-deal Brexit. And right now, it seems like having a hard Brexit is going to hurt Northern Ireland a lot. CNN reported just on December 15th of last year that with a hard Brexit, it means that the only land border between Britain and the rest of Europe is Northern Ireland's border with Ireland. And that means that with a hard Brexit, there is going to be large trade restrictions and tariffs between Northern Ireland and Ireland. But there is a bigger problem. It means that there's going to be a violation of the Good Friday Accord, which was an agreement between Britain and Ireland to end the conflicts in Northern Ireland 20 years ago. And it seems like this is going to allow for open borders because of that agreement. But now with a hard Brexit, it's not going to allow that to happen anymore. It's going to be a violation that's going to hurt Northern Ireland's economy immensely. But there's a bigger problem here. Fox News explains in their February 15th article of this year that because of the hard Brexit being put in place, Northern Ireland doesn't only get affected negatively economically, but there could also be problems culturally. Because the Good Friday Accord is going to be violated, there is a high chance of an uprising in amounts of conflicts between Ireland and Northern Ireland. And it could lead to a lot of violence in the region and also possibly even death. So it seems like hard Brexit isn't a very good option because Northern Ireland is going to be hurt economically and also is going to have a ton of conflicts within the region. So it seems like there has to be a much better way, and that is where the Irish backdrop comes into play. The BBC explains in their March 2nd article of this year that the Irish backdrop is basically a last-ditch effort between Northern Ireland and Ireland to make sure that even if a hard Brexit happens, they're able to maintain the Good Friday Accord. And it allows for open borders between Northern Ireland and Ireland, regardless of what happens between Britain and the EU. So it seems like this is a great idea. Northern Ireland isn't going to have any problems whatsoever, but the problems happen elsewhere, as in the rest of the Britain and rest of the United Kingdom. And that's where the problems start beginning. Because the Business Insider explains in their December 2nd article of 2018 that because of the violations of the Accord don't happen, it's going to create conflicts between Northern Ireland and the rest of Britain. Because only Northern Ireland is going to get all those trade benefits, and Britain is still going to have to go through all those tariffs and all those trade restrictions with a hard Brexit comes on. So it seems like there has to be a much better option than just giving Northern Ireland the benefits that it gets and screwing over the rest of Britain. And that is where comes the best possible action for Britain and the EU, which is a soft Brexit. The UK, the BBC explains this in a February 15th article this year, and explains that what happening is right now is that a soft Brexit is the best way to go for the UK. Because Theresa May, their Prime Minister, has already reached a deal with the EU on November 14th of 2018 to allow for soft Brexit to happen. And this is a basic explanation of soft Brexit. Basically, Brexit still happens. The UK is not a part of the European Union anymore, but it allows for Britain to stay in the customs union, which still facilitates easy trade and no tariffs whatsoever. So it seems like this is the best option for UK and the EU, because Britain still gets what it's wanted for 2 years now, to leave the European Union. But they won't have any kind of economic harms, and Northern Ireland does not have any kind of conflict whatsoever. Ta-da, that's the best option. So, when we look back at today's important question, how will Brexit deal with the Northern Ireland problem? The answer is 3 main options. First is a hard Brexit with a ton of trade restrictions and tariffs, not a good idea. Second is the Irish backdrop, which allows for Northern Ireland to have open borders with Ireland and continue the Good Friday Accord, but it screws over the rest of the UK. But the third and final option is the best option. With a soft Brexit, Britain is able to leave the European Union, but it's still able to stay in the customs union and doesn't have any kind of economic problems whatsoever with trade. So if Prime Minister Theresa May is finally able to get this through the British Parliament, maybe these problems in Northern Ireland can finally be put to rest, just like that British Member of Parliament.